Hello, everyone. I'm Kayla Gajewski with Buffalo FilmWorks, and today I'm here with Johnathan Brownlee. Johnathan, can you please tell everybody a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Sure. First of all, thanks for chatting today. So, my name is Johnathan Brownlee. I'm a writer, producer, director, originally from Toronto, Canada. So, Buffalo's pretty close to home. But now I produce out of Dallas, Texas. My company, Torfoot Entertainment Group, produces episodic television and feature films. And we like to say that we're genre agnostic. We produce a lot of different things for a lot of different people, everything from Hallmark Christmas films to independent horror films like The YETI to working on casting shows like Dexter. So, which our partner Ross Meyerson is doing right now. So, we like to do a little of everything. We enjoy finding fun stories to tell and working with great filmmakers and great craftspeople, and that's sort of what we do on a day-to-day basis.
That sounds amazing. Is it true you actually got started in theater performing Shakespeare?
Yeah, yeah. So I studied as an actor and trained as a classical actor and worked on and off Broadway and was at the Metropolitan Opera for a season, and then was on as an actor was on shows like Seinfeld and Larry Sanders and the original Ellen show as well. And so that's kind of how I got started in the business. But yes, I loved working on the boards, as they said, and miss the theater every day.
How do you think that shaped kind of your approach to filming today, especially being in the position as a producer now for the Yeti?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially working on classical works, they always influence both visually and if you're writing as well, they influence the way you look at things and the way you tell story. I think one of the fun things about the Yeti is it is actually a period piece, takes place in 1947. And so there are some classical elements to it, some classic elements as well that kind of harken back to a different age, which I think also adds to the fun of it. It does feel like a classic monster movie, a creature feature, and so that was one of the things that I thought would be really fun to explore with our amazing writer-director team of William Peixoto and Gene Gallerano. So we really did lean into those elements.
Amazing. There's definitely this idea of bringing this ancient threat of the Yeti to life, bringing it to the screen. What excited you most about bringing it to life?
Well, I think one of the things that I liked about this particular story of the Yeti, first of all, there really isn't a definitive Yeti film per se. So there have been lots of Frankensteins and lots of Draculas and Wolfmen and Teen Wolves and zombie films, but really hasn't been a good Yeti film. And so that was both daunting, but also kind of a fun challenge. And bringing it to light in sort of this classic feel where we basically did most of our effects practically in camera on set, as opposed to leaning on visual effects or CG or AI. That was really one of the things that just sort of harkened back to the theater days. You're kind of doing it all live on stage, if you will.
It definitely changes the viewing experience as well as bringing it to life in the sense that everything is practical. You're not waiting, standing to see how it looks after CGI is applied. Actors have something physical to work with as they're acting and working through scenes. So it definitely can end up becoming a different product in the end compared to even some newer films that we've seen. So what, aside from the CGI, do you believe makes the Yeti stand out from other thrillers or creature features?
Well, I think part of it is also it's a motivated monster as opposed to just a killing machine. So part of the story is that when you find out that there's actually a baby Yeti that's been taken from a mama Yeti, and if you understand sort of the grizzly bear and the cubs never get in between, the mama bear and her cubs, that's really what ultimately drives and motivates this creature. And so I think that's one of the things that's interesting about the story is if you would have just left well enough alone, you would have been fine. But no, we as humans are just bloody stupid sometimes. So it's, I also think there's a lot of, like I said, there's the mama Yeti and baby Yeti, but you also have fathers and sons, fathers and daughters. So there's kind of a lot of family characteristics to this story as well, So I wouldn't call it a family film, so to speak, but those things often strengthen your narrative. And I think they do on the Yeti.
Most definitely. So the Yeti was filmed here right in Western New York at Buffalo FilmWorks. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit more about what that experience was like?
Yeah. It was fabulous. I'd never shot in Buffalo. Like I said, growing up in Toronto, in high school, we used to come down to Buffalo to get into trouble, kind of thing, and then sneak back across the border. But so I really hadn't spent a lot of time in Buffalo for many, many, many years. And so when we came up and started scouting for a couple of projects, first of all, we were impressed by the film commission. The guys there they're fabulous. They know the city so well. The sense of hospitality is wonderful. And that's really important, when you're leaving your own home for a couple of months. You really want to be in a city that's fun, that's enjoyable. The food in Buffalo is great, So these were all, and it's wonderful to see the city growing again, which is really quite nice. Buffalo FilmWorks obviously has been around for a while, and it was perfect space for us at our budget level as an indie. And Jennifer and her team over there just welcomed us in. Were so accommodating, understood the restrictions we were under from a budget point of view, and just really helped us work according to our parameters. And we shot 19 out of our 20 days on that stage during January and February. Only one day outside, thank goodness. Probably the coldest day I've ever had in my entire life, being out on frozen Lake Erie. So it's probably, it'll be funny to see if anybody else makes snow inside a Buffalo studio in January or February. So, but the experience was fabulous, and we're all the future projects we're considering, Buffalo's top of mind now, just because of our great experience there.
That's so wonderful to hear. You mentioned the crew coming through on moments where things were tight, the budget or the constraints of physically getting something done. Was there a specific moment during filming that really captured that experience for you?
I think one of the things that we knew we were going to struggle with was basically building an entire forest, inside, and Frank Capolo and his team were just amazing. Our production designers, our art decks, the craftspeople were just really fabulous and really worked wonders and magic to make it look fabulous.
Based on that, it sounds like Buffalo might be the place to be. You got food, you got the places to be as far as our studio spaces, and the only downside might be the snow, but if you can get past that, I think Buffalo is a wonderful
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, no, the only thing that concerns me is I end up sitting at the corner stool at Gabriel's Gate, drinking beer and eating wings all the time. And I might have to be careful with my weight. That's the only downside.
Well, as they say, if you know anything about the Bills, where else would you rather be?
That's right. That's right. No, it's actually did get to go see a Bills game, which was really, really fabulous. And Bills Nation is for real. All right.
They go all out.
They go. So that was really fun. And that's that again, all of those kind of experiences just, really make you want to come back to a city again.
Most definitely. Was there anything particularly challenging about this shoot?
Filmmaking in general is not easy, right? It's, you can plan all you want, but at the end of the day, the minute the cameras start rolling stuff, you really have to be on your toes and ready to make adjustments. And I think what can be challenging sometimes is when you're in places where crews aren't flexible and, don't run with you kind of thing, right? Because it really is
Mhm.
a team sport. And so I think any challenges we did have, were not because of Buffalo or the space. There were more financial challenges that we had to solve in the back room thing. But, when we did come to having challenges on set, we were able to overcome those just because the crews were wonderful and really worked with us.
If you had to describe the film to maybe somebody who hasn't seen the trailer, who has no idea what it's like going into it, how would you describe it in 3 words?
Ooh, 3 words. A fun ride.
A fun ride. I love that. Can you talk a little more about the film releasing and what audiences can expect in terms of when they can see the movie?
So the film is being released both domestically, which is in North America, and in 50 plus countries around the world, which is fabulous. Our world premiere is at Beyond Fest, which is in Chicago on April the 3rd. And then we're in theaters in AMC's nationwide on April the 4th and April the 8th under their Thrills and Chills banner, which is really, really fun. And then we'll also have a Buffalo premiere on April the 10th, I believe it is, at North Park Theater. And then it also comes out streaming on Shudder, Apple TV, and Amazon on the 10th of April as well.
Amazing. And we will have websites listed in our bio on our Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn for anybody looking for any local viewings here in Buffalo, as well as the AMC website to view your nearest showtime. Johnathan, so we've talked a lot about what's happening now, but can you tell us a little more about what we can expect in the future and maybe even if those projects will bring you back to Buffalo?
Yeah, well, like I said, we're always looking for reasons to come back to Buffalo. We've got two other projects that are in the pipeline right now, two features, a couple of episodic series. We're working on one called Twisted Retribution, which is slated to go to camera quite soon. And that's really kind of I call it a female reacher, kind of female vigilante, which, well, there's several books, Amazon bestsellers, one called Twisted Retribution. And the second book just dropped this week called Killing the Swans by Donna Arp Weitzman, a Texas novelist. So those are coming soon. We're working on a series about Will Rogers, which is really kind of fun. And also always have those indie horrors that are running around and a lot of other fun things to look. You can always check out our website at torfoot.com. That's Torfoot. Torfoot.com has all of our current projects, stuff in development, and things that are about to be in production.
Johnathan, thank you so much for meeting with me today and talking. I'm sure me, myself, and everyone else is looking forward to the release of the Yeti. We're excited to see the hunted become the hunter in a sense. Where can people find out more about you and they can contact you and get in touch and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so our website's a great place to go. We also have our Instagram handles are good. We're posting a lot of stuff about the Yeti right now, so make sure you watch the trailer and then find a theater near you to go and check it out. But again, torfoot.com is a great place to start.
Thank you so much for being here today, Johnathan. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and you will catch the Yeti coming to a theater near you real soon.